Try not to get scared. It may be April, another month to be grateful. 5 most disturbing caving videos. Chillin' scares. Check it out.
On May 6, 2019, YouTuber Connor Kelly posted a video of him exploring an abandoned McCoy gold mine.
By the way, I am not responsible for any of your bedwetting, your jump scares, your yelling, your screaming. I'm not. Disclaimer.
In the Nevada desert. However, what was supposed to be nothing more than a fun adventure with his family quickly turned into a disturbing experience. One that would likely stay with the group for the rest of their lives. The exploration of this mine started off quite normal, with the group staying silent to avoid causing an accidental cave-in, as seen by the text they put on screen. However, after about a minute and a half of treading deeper into the mine, Connor noticed something strangely reflective on the path ahead.
So, do you see that reflection? We're trying to...
What they found reflecting back at them was a shoe, amongst many more, in a massive pile with random bones scattered throughout.
Whoa! No way! Hey, I don't get, bro. The video's off. Nah. Yo, forget the content. I'm running, bro, 4 flat up out of that cave, bro. I'm a little like one of them old Looney Tune characters, bro. When they running so fast, they got smoke flying behind their feet. Hell nah. Yo, you see people, bro? This is the definition of just doing too much, bro. You don't even care about your life. Imagine you going into an abandoned area, bro, and these are literally about 100, like maybe 100 is exaggerating, 45 to 50 pairs of sneakers, bro. These sneakers look like they've been there for at least 2 to 3 years, collecting dust and everything. And then you see bones, and you still haven't made a noise. Nah, these people are different. They different, bro.
Bone right there. Actually, there's quite a few bones.
What you mean, quite a few bones, bro? There's bones, shoes everywhere, bro. Leave. 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 Do you need the content that bad, bro?
In this.
What made this pile even more odd was the sheer variety of shoes on display. Many of them were clearly very modern, while some were models that were released over 30 years ago.
That even makes it worse and scarier and creepier. Is those some retro 11s right there? I see some Adidas. So nah, like you literally have some decent shoes. So this makes it even scarier, because then you have people, you know what I'm saying, that probably like dress well and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And assuming obviously they're not, homeless and stuff. So it's just like, bro, does that not ring a bell in your head that there was other people that just like had a camera possibly too and was just like, hey, I want to explore this cave? Bro, you crazy, bro.
How could such a random assortment of shoes end up in an abandoned gold mine in the middle of nowhere? Things took an even darker turn when the group ventured further into the cave and found a bunch of bones, including a relatively intact spine.
And you're in there?
It is getting great. So we can't trust this.
By this point, the group was growing increasingly unsettled by these disturbing discoveries, prompting them to leave the cave as quickly as possible.
Bro.
And that's where the original video ends, without any explanation or resolution. Connor didn't provide any more information in the video's description or in the comments. He posted 4 more videos after this, but none of these videos included any updates on the disturbing encounter either. So, what's going on here? One of the first things that comes to mind is that this mine was the collection spot for a serial killer. This would explain both the shoes and the bones. A top comment on the video also backs this theory, stating, "If you ever listen to the Missing 411 videos, you know shoes are a major component of missing or abducted people. This sent chills down my spine.
This is creepy,
Which
bro.
is true. A statistical analysis of the missing 411 data shows that over 15% of the cases involve absent shoes. However, this theory isn't entirely likely. For starters, I couldn't find any news reports regarding this mysterious pile of shoes, which is odd since judging from the number of shoes, this supposed killer would have had hundreds of victims. If this pile had such a violent history, it probably wouldn't go unnoticed by the media. More importantly, many people on the internet agree that the bones in the video are not human. The group in the video reaches the same conclusion when looking at the bones for the first time.
No, it's like a cow or something.
Bro just said a cow. How do you know that?
Put simply, the odds of this being a serial killer trophy cave are very low. But given the animal bones scattered throughout the area, it's possible it was the feeding spot of a predator like a mountain lion. Though, while that might explain the bones, it offers no clues about the pile of shoes.
Right.
One theory I haven't seen anyone else bring up is that the shoes might have ended up there because of flooding. You see, the McCoy mine where the video was filmed is located in Lander County, and from what I can find, that area is quite prone to flooding. So it's entirely possible that someone dumped their sneaker collection in the middle of nowhere to get rid of it, only for it to be carried in the abandoned mine with rainwater. A mountain lion could have moved in later, which would explain the bones. The only proof I have of this theory is that the ground in the deepest part of the mine is extremely wet and has water flow marks leading into it. Other than that, it's pure speculation. That said, another potential explanation for both the bones and the shoes is that Connor placed them there himself in hopes of creating a viral video. People on the internet have pointed out that the bones in the video are a bit too clean for something left in a muddy cave by a predator. Some have also claimed that a few of the bones look like they're inorganic fabrications. Another inconsistency in Connor's video is that he and his group keep claiming that all the shoes in the pile are kid-sized.
There's no doll shoes in there.
Kid size.
No doll shoes.
Now some of those adult,
He
those
even
Adidas
mentioned
are like
that
a
in the
size
video's
13.
title, which reads, "Kids' shoes and bones found in abandoned mine." Now, while that makes an already creepy situation even more disturbing, it's simply not true. There are plenty of adult-sized shoes visible in this pile.
Right.
Unfortunately, I doubt we'll ever know what happened here for sure. It's been 6 years since the video was uploaded, and as I mentioned earlier, Connor has vanished completely from the internet ever since.
Damn. Do you think he went back in that cave, bro, and it just never came out? Bro, I don't care, bro. I'm either going with this theory. I think it had to be a collection of a serial killer, bro. Maybe those bones could be just like scattered from like a mountain lion or something, but maybe those piles of shoes could have been from some like crazy situation back then. Or it could have been that theory of somebody dumping their shoes into a lake and then it just washed up there. But bro, it's just, I don't know, man. What is y'all's call on that one? That was creepy. Being safe.
September 2024, the Action Adventure Twins YouTube channel posted a video exploring a mysterious cave someone found on their property. This is the same channel we talked about earlier, where the two brothers got separated and almost lost their lives in the maze-like cave. They've learned their lessons since and approached this one with far more caution. But with an entrance as life-threatening as this one, even the best precautions could have proven to not be enough.
Alright, so the guy dropped us off halfway up the hill, and he doesn't know anybody who's been down this thing, but we were at the cave. He says he threw a rope down it with a rock and it was 200 feet deep before it stopped. So we got this stick here. We're gonna see if our rope reaches. It's still, oh, you were right, it kept going.
This alone is enough to terrify most people, with one person stating, "This channel has given me a new fear about walking in the woods. The fact that you could just slip and fall down a hole like that is insane. Now anytime I go anywhere, I wonder how many massive voids are right below my feet that I could fall into at any moment." But that didn't deter Edward and James.
Of course
They
not,
quickly
huh?
secured their rope to a nearby tree and began descending into the steep cave. What they
You
found
sitting up there trusting a tree, bro.
inside was nothing short of breathtaking.
Their life is in their hands of a tree and how strong the branch is, man.
That tiny opening gave way to a vast chasm.
And imagine if they rope breaks.
Oh, wow.
Who you gonna call?
This is a big one, man.
However, before they could fully take in the beauty of the cavern, things took a dark turn.
What happened?
Just seconds into the cave, the two discovered what looked like human remains scattered throughout.
That's comforting human bones, huh?
Dude, look
That's
behind
comforting
you.
human.
There's like a little shrine.
Oh, those definitely remains. That's
Is that
crazy.
human? Nah.
They let them sit there for some years.
It's awfully
This man just
round.
gonna pick up, yo, bro, like I said, man, some people are different, bro. Bro just casually picking up
Yeah, that
remains,
looks
bro.
human, man. That doesn't necessarily make, I don't know. I'm not a bone expert.
From there, they continued exploring the cave as it kept getting bigger the further they went into it. They also discovered old caving equipment like ropes and harnesses already secured to the walls, a detail that only deepened the mystery surrounding the bones they had found earlier. If they did belong to a person, as the two suspected, it was possible they belonged to a previous explorer. This explorer likely had an accident and died in the cave without ever making it out.
Wow.
On their way in, they did find scattered bones right below the entrance. These were likely the remains of people who accidentally fell into the otherwise unassuming hole.
That'll be crazy.
However, the bones they found further inside were too far from the entrance to have belonged to someone who simply fell in. It's also possible that these remains belonged to the victim of a deranged killer. Someone who either had ended a person's life within the cave, or maybe threw the person into the hole and later dragged their body further into the cave. Some people, however, weren't convinced and accused the brothers of faking the whole thing, especially since the way Edward and James handled some of these remains felt a bit too casual.
Bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, ain't no way you just, unless they serial killers their damn self, bro, you're not gonna just sit up there out of the blue and just pick up human remains and just be like, oh, wow, what do we have here today, head ass? Like, what?
That said,
What
while
y'all calling?
YouTubers
Is this fake, real, or
faking
one of
his
those
friends
options?
to get a viral
he
video
said?
isn't uncommon, this one turned out to be true. The video received several comments from experts confirming that these remains were indeed real and human, with one such person writing, "My girlfriend and I are watching from Canada. We're both paramedics. Definitely a human femur and a human cranium.
Yeah, believe the paramedics.
But this raised an even bigger question. When did the owner of these bones pass away? If they disappeared into the cave in the last few decades, this discovery could end up cracking an unsolved case. I ended up contacting the action-adventure twins to see what they had to say or if they had made any police reports afterwards. We ended up contacting the authorities about the bones. They were determined to be human and were apparently a Native American that either slipped and fell into the pit cave or was thrown in there after death and are 2,000 years old.
Damn.
While this did rule out the possibility
Bro,
that these bones
2,000 years ago, bro, was literally like 1675. Like, TV wasn't invented. Fried chicken wasn't invented. Like, it's so crazy how, like, literally 2,000 years ago it actually exists.
belonged to someone more recent, the despair of whoever ended up in that cave alone 2,000 years ago is just as impossible to ignore. They likely fell into the cave, somehow survived the fall, and ended up starving to death while looking for a way out.
My thing is, too, also, just, like, how would the bones just be sitting there, like, that part of the body bones be sitting there? So now think about it, maybe some other cave explorers probably, like, seen the, like, you know, remains or something like that, and probably just, like, put them on, like, that right there on that little rock shelf right there or something.
On October
Also,
28, 2004, 50-year-old Australian airline pilot and scuba diver David John Shaw broke the world record for the deepest successful dive in history. He achieved this by reaching a depth of 270 meters in Bushman's Hole, one of the deepest freshwater caves in the world.
Wow.
The sole purpose of this dive was to break the record. However, when he reached the bottom, he found something that stopped him in his tracks. He found the body of Dion Dreyer, a 20-year-old scuba diver who died in that cave 10 years ago. Wow. Since humans start sinking after a certain depth, Dion's body never floated back to the surface. Given the extreme difficulty and danger of diving this deep, any plans to retrieve his body were also canceled at the time of his death. However, a plaque in his name was installed near the diving point of Bushman's Hole, which is how Dave knew what he was looking at. After staring at the body in shock for a few seconds, Dave immediately got closer and tried to retrieve Dion. Unfortunately, after a decade in the water, his tanks were firmly stuck in the mud.
No.
More importantly, Dave had already spent too much time at that depth. Staying any longer would have been fatal. So he decided to tie a line to Dion's body and return to the surface with the newfound information.
Wasn't very steep. And I saw the body over on to my left. I thought, oh, that's the end of going deep. So just tied my line to it. And by then I was, well, we won't discuss that. And so I just flicked the line.
The news of Dion's body being discovered spread quickly, eventually culminating in Dave talking to his parents and promising to retrieve it. After a couple months of preparation, the next dive was scheduled for January 8th, 2005. Unfortunately, Dave's heroic attempt to bring closure to Dion's parents ended in a catastrophe far worse than anyone could have imagined. Cave diving, aka underwater cave exploration, is far more dangerous than regular spelunking. The divers have to manage their oxygen levels at all times, avoid often sharp rock formations, and explore the cave system in a far darker environment, because even the brightest flashlights aren't as effective underwater, all while making sure they don't get lost. Add in the immense pressure of 270 meters of water above, it becomes an almost insurmountable challenge, one that only a handful of people on the planet are capable of overcoming. So, everything needed to be perfect for Dave's operation to succeed. He worked with police divers, the defense force, and medics to ensure everything went smoothly, and they planned the dive second by second. According to the plan, Dave would use the line he tied earlier to reach Dion's body. After cutting it loose and putting it in a special body bag, he would begin his descent. This descent would have taken around 12 hours to avoid decompression sickness. So instead of holding on to Dion's body the entire time, Dave would pass it along to his longtime friend Don Shirley at 220 meters. Don would then hand it over to support divers located at various depths and keep checking on Dave for any issues. Sadly, this is not how it went. An hour and a half after the dive began, the surface crew received an ominous message from the support divers, claiming that they hadn't seen any activity from Dave or Don. Shortly after, another message reached the surface. This one was from Don, stating that he's seeing Dave in the distance, and he's not moving.
What?
Don's okay.
Dave's not coming.
What?
While this message was making its way to the surface, Don tried to reach Dave himself. He exceeded his target depth, which resulted in his rebreather controller imploding. This also led to him suffering from oxygen poisoning and vomiting while 220 meters under the water.
That's something new to me. What do you mean oxygen poisoning? So if you have too much of, is it like fake oxygen or something from the oxygen tank? I don't understand. Because, no, it is not even like no trophy, but lives are being lost right here. And, you know, prayers of the victims or you know what I'm saying, the people and everything. What does it mean with like the poisoning oxygen? Like I'm confused on that part.
Fortunately, he managed to keep hold of the line and was eventually pulled out of the water still breathing.
Nice.
Dave, however, didn't make it.
No.
But when rescue teams pulled out his body, they made a shocking discovery. Dion's body was attached to the recovery line as well. Following the recovery, investigators looked at the footage captured by the waterproof camera mounted on Dave's head. This is what they saw. Though I should mention, I couldn't find the raw footage from that camera. The only clip of it online is narrated by Don himself, Dave's best friend who we just talked about, who almost died trying to save his life. The footage shows Dave moving alongside the line to find Dion's body, and then trying to put it in the bag. Unfortunately, this is where the plan started falling apart. Dion's body was unexpectedly loose from the mud and was moving around uncontrollably. Dave tried to complete his mission despite this, only to end up getting tangled in the line.
This line is just getting everywhere because this body is floating. It's not stuck. Everything's moving. Right, light gets caught on the line there. Move it out of the way. Still got a nice bright line.
All this effort caused him to neglect his gauges, resulting in Dave feeling the effects of nitrogen narcosis, which include poor judgment, trouble concentrating, and reduced muscle and nerve function. Put simply, he lost everything he needed to survive at that depth. He tried to cut the tangled line, but the lack of coordination made it near impossible. As he was struggling to stay conscious, the last thing he saw was the terrifying view of Dion's lifeless face mask staring back at him.
What?
Shortly after this, Dave passed away.
Man.
The only silver lining was that the tangled line kept Dion's body close to Dave, allowing him to successfully complete his mission by recovering the body, only at the cost of his own life.
Man, sad, man. Man, prayers to everybody, man, lost their lives in this stuff, man. This is, wow, man. The cave is, you know, I just feel like when it comes to stuff like that, man, like, whether you think there can be treasure down there, something crazy to explore, man, I'd be safe to just, like, it's just not worth it, just, like, try to get something exclusive, bro, because of those reasons, bro. Unless they just, technology-wise, decide and find a way to, like, you know, invent, you know, longer oxygen tanks or just something where you can just get up out of there faster or what, man. Man, that was crazy, man. Super sad and scary.